Good morning. It's the start of a bad hair day. It's very early on a very early winter morning. Freezing outside, still completely dark. And we are up and about in this household because we are taking my stepfather to have his knee replacement surgery this morning, and we have to have him to the hospital by 5:30 a.m. Today is then, I guess, the day I go from being a patient to a caregiver again. Though, truth be told, my amazing nephew is in from California for 2 weeks to help me because I am not quite yet up to taking care of somebody else on my own. Meet Aiden. We made gnocchi the other night.
This is marble.
No, granite.
Oh.
Aiden says it looks like we're making dozens of camel toes.
Hey, look at him.
I am a publisher, writer, editor, daughter, sister, auntie, dog mom, and many other things, including currently a cancer patient. But I am not a doctor or medical professional of any sort. What you are about to watch is an episode of my journey through cancer. I'm sharing my adventure with you in hopes that you'll find something here that's comforting and maybe even inspiring. This video is not intended to provide any sort of diagnosis or treatment plan. Please go talk with your doctor for professional medical advice.
I have been blessed through this whole cancer experience with incredible support from family and friends, and I have had outstanding doctors. The origin story of my diagnosis, back last spring, I needed a clean pap smear in order to undergo a procedure that I had scheduled. It's an elective procedure that is available to women of a certain age who want to remain vibrant. And I'll talk about that procedure more once I can turn away from this cancer-focused life and launch a different YouTube channel, one that I had intended to launch before life was derailed by cancer, about aging as vibrantly as we can. I'll talk more about the procedure once I've recovered enough from cancer that I can actually have it. For now, in a nutshell, that pap smear came back just fine, but my gynecologist said, look, you're 1.5 years out from your last mammogram, which isn't good. Let's schedule that. And I see you've never had a colonoscopy. Let's schedule one of those. And I protested that I had done Cologuard tests in lieu of the more invasive colonoscopy procedure. And my gynecologist pressed. She wanted the colonoscopy. I remembered listening to, on one of my road trips, the audio edition of David Sedaris's really hysterically funny book, which is titled Let's Explore Diabetes with Owls. Included in that book of essays was one about his first colonoscopy, and he made it clear that it's a procedure that's not as horrible as it's usually made out to be, and he said that one upside was that the drugs they give you when you have a colonoscopy are really good. So I told my gynecologist that I'd heard the drugs were good, and I'd go get a colonoscopy. That's how my cancer was diagnosed. My gynecologist and her insistence on a colonoscopy saved my life. My advice here is, if your doctor wants you to have a colonoscopy, don't make her beg you to do it. Just go get it done. It really isn't a huge ordeal. certainly and absolutely nothing compared to the treatments that I've just been through. And the drugs really are good. Then, when I was diagnosed, my general practitioner set me up with the two doctors who I would be spending a great deal of time with over the next several months, my chemo oncologist and my radiation oncologist. And then, once treatment was complete, I met my colorectal surgeon, not for surgery, but to start monitoring my recovery process. Two very specific things I learned from the surgeon. One, I should have seen her earlier. When I was diagnosed, I went right to my family doctor to be referred to the oncologists. Somehow, I bypassed the step of the general surgeon, and this is possibly because I wasn't thrilled with the general surgeon who did the colonoscopy itself. So I didn't go back to see him. I don't remember being told that I was supposed to, but I am delighted that I ended up with the colorectal surgeon who I am with. She's fabulous. And the other thing that I learned from her is that the idea of trusting Cologuard tests to pick up cancers of the colon makes colorectal surgeons put their heads in their hands and despair. Cologuard is, according to her, a last resort, a last poor resort for patients who absolutely refuse a colonoscopy. It's better than nothing, but it isn't a substitute because there are a lot of potential colon problems that it cannot detect. So again, just go get the colonoscopy. Just go do it. Just do it. Just do it. Okay. I had a great meeting with the colorectal surgeon, and that included an exam, my first anoscopy, which I was not prepared for because I had done no prep. I had read that there were certain preps that you had to do for it. I had called the surgeon's office and asked if I should be prepared for this, and was told, oh no, this is just a consultation. I kind of thought, oh gosh, all right, I've got to drive an hour each way to go to a consultation and then come back for an actual exam. So I was a little put out that I couldn't actually have the exam. But I thought if that's the way they do it, that's the way they do it. But I got the exam, and I will go into it in more detail in my Patreon channel. But essentially, an anoscopy isn't fun, but it's not horrible either. Then you do what you have to do. It is still too early for a doctor to tell if my tumor is, gone. There's still too much swelling. But she did give me a good report after the exam and told me that my tissues look healthy and that the only area that seemed to be problematic was scar tissue. So that really wasn't a problem because she expected to see scar tissue. Then the next day, I met with both of my oncologists again. They were pleased to hear that I was up to going back to yoga class, although I did tell them that I have pulled a muscle or done something to my tailbone. And essentially, as my chemo oncologist said, why take an x-ray? Because they're not going to do anything for a tailbone injury anyway. So mostly I'm just taking a leave for the pain and standing a lot because it hurts to sit. The surgeon had suggested that if the pain doesn't go away, I might consider getting a pain blocker. I'm hoping not to have to do that. But the bottom line on this point is that when you do go back to exercising after treatment, don't overdo it and try to get back to where you were pre-cancer, all in your first couple of yoga classes or sessions of your preferred form of exercise. My hemoglobin levels are still low. I'm still tired. I discussed taking iron supplements with my chemo oncologist, but we decided, because I'm still trying to get my bowels back in working order, that might be a cause for constipation. So we're going to wait till we get to March to see what my hemoglobin levels are then, and have the discussion again about iron supplements. And in the meantime, I will just continue to nap as often as I need to. But the good news is that they are both really happy with the progress that I'm making in recovery. I'm doing really modified yoga. I'm back to walking very short distances. I'm able to work 4 hours at a stretch. I'm cooking. As my radiation oncologist said, and I love this, that I am hitting recovery out of the ballpark. I have lots of monitoring ahead. I have to have my port flushed regularly. I have to get anoscopies. I have to go and have general check-ins with my oncologists. So there's going to be a doctor every 4 to 6 weeks of my life for the next 2 years. And 2 years, they monitor the patient fairly closely, because that's the time period in which a recurrence is most likely to happen. And then we will monitor a little less frequently over the course of the next 3 years, until we can get to the point where my doctors can agree that I'm truly cancer-free. So I have another PET scan, my second one, scheduled for March, and that's going to tell us a whole lot more about where the tumor is in terms of being gone. And if it turns out that the PET scan gives me a really good report, and we're sure I won't need my port any longer, I can have it removed, and that will likely be in April. So fingers crossed. The port was a necessary evil convenience. I don't love this alien thing sitting in my chest. So I'm really looking forward to having it taken out in another 5 months or so. Right now, I'm just being in the present and appreciating the incremental progress. And after 6 weeks of daily doctor visits, treatments, and then months of weekly ones, I don't have to see a doctor again for nearly 7 weeks, not until the new year. I love my doctors, each and every one of them. I truly am blessed to have them all on my team, but I am very grateful that I don't have to see them so often for a little while. If you want to do a deeper dive into what I'm calling the not safe for work aspects of cancer recovery, you can follow me on Patreon. The link is below. For now, thanks for watching. And for those of you who did so, thanks for the prayers. It was really uplifting. Thank you. I'll see you next week.
If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Also, Don't forget to call your senators and your congresspeople to demand universal health care. And most importantly, don't forget to vote.